That's good
There
enough.
you go. There
That's
you go.
good enough.
That's
we
good
got
enough. You can figure it out.
All right, so Wano Report number...
18? 18.
This is a Wano Report number 18. Yes. We have a very special guest this week. His name is Ohara, along with our usual guest, Roger's Base.
It's a pleasure.
What's going on, everybody? Yeah. Happy to be here every week, so...
And you all might have noticed we've got like a really nice thumbnail this Wano Report, along with last Wano Report and all future Wano Reports, thanks to
Revujo.
Our new thumbnail guy, Revujo. Big shout outs to him.
Revujo's
Definitely go check out his art.
Yeah.
Go check out...
Hey,
Yeah, no,
cool,
Revujo just
very
started
cool.
making our thumbnails.
Big shout out to
Very
Revujo.
cool.
Big thank you to you,
Much
man.
appreciated, man. We have all of his information in the description below, I assume.
Yeah, make sure to check him out on Instagram, on Twitter. Also, make sure to check us out on Instagram and Twitter. Well, more Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
What's your Twitter, Roger? Tell the people.
That's Roger's Base everywhere.
Roger has
Base
enough
on
Twitter
Twitter,
followers.
On Instagram, on Twitch, on Discord, on everything.
That is
Facebook.
Simple. I like
I've checked. Roger has like 1,000,000 times more Twitter followers than like any other One Piece YouTuber. So
Well, that's okay. That's different though. It's cheating because everybody else really sticks to anime stuff, whereas a lot of mine's gaming. And so like a lot of the big live reactions I do for Nintendo Directs or for like the Game Awards and things like that's where the Twitter audience comes from. It's mostly like a gaming audience.
I was wondering. Yeah. I was like, what do I got to do?
That's why. Yeah, that's why.
Who do I have to?
Who do I have to browse?
Awesome.
All right. So anyway, you guys want to just start with talking about the chapter because I know Roger liked the chapter a lot.
Yeah.
I know I did.
Chapter.
I know Ohara did.
Dude, we got Roger fresh from his live review, so let's better.
I right before we started this, I did my live reaction, and then I recorded my review immediately. I reread the chapter and was like, I have to do a review right now. And so I just turned on the camera and rambled for like 15 minutes and just uploaded. I clicked press upload, done. I edited in like a couple other things, like pictures of the Kraken dude, like the octopus guy that was there in Marineford. Like, what?
Yeah.
What? That dude came back? Oh my, this chapter, this is what I live for. Honestly, this is the kind of One Piece chapter I absolutely live for. This flashback is going to go down, mark my words, as one of the best, if not the best flashback in all of One Piece.
100%.
The fact that we're seeing Roger right now, the fact that like his title at the end of the chapter specifically said Gold Roger, and then right before that we're seeing Lady Toki, and she's like, I'm from 800 years ago. I always wanted to go to Wano. Teehee. And it's like, why did she want to go to Wano? Because the poneglyphs were made in Wano. That's why she wants to go to Wano. We're going to meet up with Gold Roger. They're all going to be in Raftel. We're going to find out about the Will and D. Roger's going to call himself Goldie Roger, bro. This flashback, bro. Oh,
Awesome, man.
You guys can't see
like
this
it.
right now, but Roger's out of his seat. He's
so
very
good.
excited. But this is
so
a super
good.
exciting chap. Dude, like, I mean, because I was saying, and we were all saying, like, how deep is Oda going to go into, you know, the lore with this chapter? Are we going to see Roger? I think we're going to get everything. We're close to everything.
We're getting everything.
This chapter. This flashback.
Chapter proves that for the first time, and this is what I was saying a couple weeks ago in that video, for the first time, it really feels like when Oda and his editors said we got about 5 years left, it feels like, yeah, we probably got about 5 years left now.
Yep.
That's probably where we are. Because if we're looking at the timeline from 2007, right, which is where Water 7 Enies Lobby ended, to the end of Marineford post-war, that story saga, that ended in 2010 in the manga. So it was about 3 years. In the span of 3 years, we got post Enies Lobby, we got Thriller Bark, we got Sabaody Archipelago, we got Amazon Lily, Impel Down, all of Marineford, and the post-war. And that's within a 3-year time span. So in a 5-year time span, and let's just say, right, that the 5 years begins at the end of Wano Country, right? We got a good story saga for Elbaf, right? We can get an Elbaf story saga similar to Thriller Bark. God Valley information, probably. We'll probably get something on God Valley. We know we're going to get a Raftel arc, no doubt.
Post-Raftel?
We know there's going to be post-Raftel, probably. We're probably going to get, we know we're going to get the final war, right? The Throne War, Marineford 2.0, whatever you want to call it. We know we're probably going to get an Impel Down 2.0 with the Revolutionaries saving Sabo, wherever Sabo is right now. Plus, again, God Valley. Like, there's all these other things that I think could be shorter, self-contained story arcs that people, I think, are assuming are going to be really, really long story arcs. But if we're getting all this information in this flash, just the information in the last chapter alone, in 964 alone, Lady Toki, the Void Century, Roger, Whitebeard, Izo going to Whitebeard's ship, all of this, it's all been explained in one chapter. It's if this flashback continues like this, we're gonna get so much information, and I'm stoked about it. I can't wait.
Yeah, I mean, like, this...
Morj, you're like, this is like the most contrasty picture I've like ever had on my screen, I think.
I'm bouncing out of my
Yep.
seat, and Morj is like, so anyway, 964.
Morj is like, yes, so that chapter happened, but...
No, for the record, I love the chapter.
Oh,
maybe
so
I'm
good.
just not what do you call, as bouncy, I guess, but like basically, I definitely think that 5 years, okay, I don't know, 5 years, it still seems rough to me, but I could definitely see like closer
Not
than
if
I
Big
thought.
Mom and
'Cause I
Kaito
thought,
go down the story arc. No way. No way.
I definitely
If
do think Big Mom and Kaito are going down this arc.
I'm telling you, dude. If 2 Yonko are taken out, then we get Elbaf and we get Shanks and maybe Blackbeard kills Shanks. Then we get Raftel and then Blackbeard dies and then it's like, okay, all the Yonko are dead. Who's left? World government. Boom. Whatever got revealed at Raftel. Boom. Take care of the world government. Save the revolutionaries. Free the world. Whatever. Imu-sama. Final villain with Akainu. We're done.
Dude, but you have to
no,
flesh
I
it
can
out,
see
right?
that, but then there's like lots of small chapters. Like for example, like there's lots of just little stuff that pops up, like that Gyukemaru chapter and stuff. Like I'm sure Oda's still got lots of like little stuff that he's just not going to be able to resist like fitting in basically, and that's just always what like fills up his story. So I could see like 5 to 7 basically, but at the same time, I do think it's a bit of maybe a little bit of marketing where it's like, oh, we got 5 years left. Everybody fucking hop on the One Piece train and start reading and getting these like.
Especially because Demon Slayer beat it this year. Demon Slayer because that was
did
something.
it? Because I'm so confused about that.
It did. So here's the truth of the situation. This is what happened because I wanted to do a video on this. You know the Oricon rankings that everybody always follows every year. That's like always whenever all of us do our end of the year videos. Like these are the best selling things. The Oricon rankings.
I actually don't know
put
them.
Demon Slayer above One Piece. Demon Slayer sold I forgot how much, but they put it above One Piece.
It was like 2 million more. Yeah.
Shueisha made their own ranking this year and was like, One Piece is still number 1, 13 years in a row, and their timeline for it was November to November. Okay, that's a little...
Okay.
And they did that specifically so they could include the manga volume at the end of last year for One Piece so that One Piece is still technically number 1. But by the Oricon rankings that everyone has always followed up till now, always, Demon Slayer beat it. But the One Piece fans don't want to see like, oh, we're not in first place anymore. So they're like, we're going to go by the Shueisha rankings where they cook the books and they put it number 1. But ultimately, no. Demon Slayer beat it, and... people need to do videos.
But I mean,
because there's weird information.
I feel
out
like
there
there's no
about it,
problem
but there are
with
2
that,
rankings,
though, right? Because I mean,
there shouldn't.
One Piece
There
is
shouldn't.
such a long running, and
of course,
right? You can enjoy both. Like One Piece still that like for a
course.
20-year running manga, it's like crazy numbers that they're cranking up there.
Yeah.
And I mean,
what does it? I mean, honestly, what does it matter? Like sales doesn't equate to quality. Like if you like the series, who cares how well it's selling?
And they're still doing crazy. And like Kimetsu no Yaiba,
Exactly.
like they managed to pull out an amazing, like just visually amazing anime. So I don't see the big deal about it, but
no, it was just such a funny waves back and forth. Because first it was like building up on Twitter, like, you know, Kimetsu no Yaiba is going to beat One Piece. One Piece fans are like, oh, we don't care. Then it's revealed One Piece beat Kimetsu no Yaiba. It's like, we do care. Suck it, you all lost. And then it's like,
people definitely cared when they thought Demon Slayer. I mean, when it was reported that Demon Slayer beat it, they definitely cared. I mean, even in the very beginning, people were like, I don't care, but they definitely did.
Everybody cared.
It's like typical
in their heart to a degree, basically.
You know, it's like
and then when we thought we won, we like gloated, and then when Kimetsu won, we were like all quiet again. We're like, no, we didn't care this entire time.
Exactly. We didn't care, Baka.
It's like I think it's like hilarious how closely anime Twitter gets to like political Twitter. You know, like people going in their camps, and like you have like the loudest voices, the loudest 1% of each extreme, like going at each other in like a small room.
I mean, we actually talked about this a little bit during the. I think you're going to say exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, during the quote unquote reverie that happened a couple of days ago, the 100th episode of the Red Force podcast, we mentioned that. It's one of those things where I feel One Piece was number 3 for such a long time in like the North American foreign audience. Obviously, One Piece has been untouched in Japan. But for the foreign audiences, I feel like Naruto was running, Bleach was running. They were both more popular than One Piece in North America, and then now they're both gone. The One Piece fans are finally feeling what it's like to be number 1, and so they're like immediately threatened by anything that's potentially going to take that away. So they see, you know, My Hero Academia, they see stuff like Demon Slayer, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, those series are trash. Like One Piece is great. It's like, no, they can also be good series and be selling well and be popular in North America. while One Piece is still
it's
popular.
Like
it's like there could be multiple
this
things.
really weird tribalism that's happening like in the anime community sometimes. It's like you can...
I mean, you see this a lot with video games, right? Where people are like, they only have money to buy one system, and so whatever system they're going to end up buying, they go, well, that's the best system because it's the one I spent money on. Right. It's like, okay, well...
And I mean, I can say that since I'm like, luckily not from the US, but like what you got going on, like Democrats, Republicans.
Oh, sure. Totally. Same thing. Totally. You said I could say that. I openly am a Democrat. I don't care what anybody says. I know there's
Roger,
some people who don't want to...
I would never have guessed that you were a Democrat.
Oh, really? You never would have guessed that me in California...
No, I'm kidding.
You look like a Trump guy, Roger.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely, right?
Yeah, right. Like a Jim Jordan.
yeah.
Okay, let's
get the next Ben Shapiro, you guys.
Yes. It's like
Roger's base destroys.
It's like the One Piece wire.
No, but I mean, it doesn't. But also, that shouldn't matter either. You know, it's like we're doing anime stuff, so whatever political leanings, it's like
it doesn't.
One of the cool things is that I think there's such a wide variety of people who love One Piece. Like you can go all the way to the really closeted weeby type people, and then like all the way to the other end of stuff, and like
100%.
You know, exactly. Yeah.
It's just what is so. Sometimes it's stressful, sometimes it's entertaining, but like this, like how emotional and like how toxic people can get about trivial things like what is their favorite anime. Like, dude, are you telling me like just because you are a One Piece fan, you will never ever watch Kimetsu no Yaiba or whatever? Like, just enjoy anime. Like, be happy that it's like mainstreaming, like that we're gonna get like more sales and better quality and stuff like that.
I'm glad you said that. I literally just finished recording a video yesterday, sort of on that exact topic about how multiple series can flourish at once. And it's a very clickbaity title. So you guys listen to this, you're going to get an early leak of what this video is titled. But the title is called The Real Big Three. And the thumbnail is Luffy in the middle with Hisoka on one side and Mikasa from Attack on Titan on the other.
Oh,
and people are going to be like, what the hell
playing
is this?
With fire.
So I'm going to play with fire. I'm ready for it. But the whole video is basically just going to be that the Big Three was one thing that existed at one point in time because there, you know, obviously anime wasn't as mainstream as it is now, but now multiple series can flourish. There doesn't have to be a Big Three. There could be multiple series. You could like Black Clover, My Hero Academia, Demon Slayer, One Piece, whatever. Attack on Titan,
Dude,
you're good.
And I mean, I think you have to, like, people have to admit also that, like, One Piece, when it started 20 years ago, like, One Piece fights and, like, One Piece power system was, like, something new, something great. It was exciting. It was, like, in the top notch. If you compare it with like anime and manga today, there are so many great animes, mangas that have like way better fight systems, way better fight animations. Like people, I understand that people still enjoy One Piece a lot for their fights, and it's a great part of it. But what really makes One Piece such a big and like successful storyline is that it had the time to develop around world and story and character building.
Exactly.
And I feel people underestimate that.
Well, the world building is exactly why I liked this chapter so much. I mean, that's why I liked Reverie so much. It's why I liked Zoe so much. The series that focus around world building as opposed to a fight. Like when you look at a story arc like Dressrosa, it was primarily, okay, Luffy versus Doflamingo and fights against the, Doflamingo family. Whole Cake Island, we got the fight against Katakuri and then all the family members and Big Mom. It's like whenever there's story arcs like that, that's usually when Oda gets caught up because he's introduced all these characters that need to have their own fights, and then he feels the need to have to flesh out everything, explain how Luffy's able to beat these characters that are stronger than him. Whereas when you get something like Zoe, where, the villain's already gone, you get something like Wano Country, where a lot of the stuff is being told in flashback, that's really, again, like you're talking about, where One Piece flourishes, because it builds upon the world. It's giving us more information on the stuff we've waited for years. So,
and I feel like...
It depends. Well, okay, I'll say it and then you can go ahead, sorry. We're very polite on this podcast.
We are
actually,
at least polite. We've
been made fun of for
we have
that.
the politest podcast in the community.
Yeah, the one time Brago, or the two times Brago came on, he's made fun of us for having such a polite streaming style. But
excuse me one second, I just need to explain something.
Yeah, exactly. You go ahead, and then I'll go ahead, and then maybe you can say. Anyway,
please lay out your.
I don't know. It depends, dude. For me, like, the best One Piece arcs for me still are like when Oda. Like, I think the best thing Oda does for me is personally emotion. Like, when he really writes those emotionally compelling storylines that, like, just still get me pumped when I go back and read them. Like, Enies Lobby still makes me tear up if I go back and read it. Yeah. And then, like, the high points still get me, like, really pumped, like, reading Luffy declaring war on the world and stuff like that. I don't think Oda's matched that for a long time, personally.
I would say Corazon, the Corazon flashback was close.
Corazon flashback was close.
The Corazon flashback with Law was close, and I would say Zoe, a lot of Zoe hit that as well.
The Raizo Dono is safe.
Exactly.
I think that's the best moment that Oda's written post-time skip, personally.
Yeah,
I think that's like a One Piece classic moment. Yeah. I don't think he's matched that, but at this point, he's still able to pull out all these world-building tricks, because like, it's like, okay, I can't hit those emotional highs as much, but like, Reverie and stuff, you can't do that pre-time skip because you don't have all that setup. So now he's got so much to play with, basically. He should still be able to match the emotional highs, though. So that's what I'm waiting on a little bit in Wano.
And that is
if we get that in Wano, I think we're going to get that with Oden's flashback. That's when we actually see Oden in the pot boiling alive, and you see the scabbards and Kaito, I mean, dude, that's gonna break everybody. Because we've seen, like, Oden has been built up as this indestructible figure, right? He's the dude that hung onto the back of the ship for 3 days. He's the guy who was like drinking the hot sake, off the guy's corpse. It's like Oden is an absolute monster, and 100%. So to see him taken down to that final level and see however he's going to be brought down by Orochi through whatever disgusting means he's going to do it, I think that is probably going to hit that same high of Corazon, putting Law in the box, and then right as he dies, you hear Law's cries, like,
Dude, I'd like to hear your thought on this, because like Morj and me have been discussing this like for a couple of weeks now, because for me personally, like I think both of us really enjoy each chapter of the flashback so far.
For sure, me too.
Except for 962.
Okay.
I didn't like 962.
I did like
which one was 962? Which one was that?
That was I didn't like the one where it was showing each of the scabbards quickly meeting Oden through montage.
And that's kind of like my point.
I get that.
Because we were a little bit, like, me personally, I did enjoy that chapter as well, but like what both of us were missing a little bit was, obviously, the flashback is focused on Oden, but Oden is a character that, like, most likely is not alive anymore. So 99%.
Right.
So we would have hoped that, like, we would get a little bit more characterization for each of the scabbards when they meet Oden, right? What's your take on that?
I mean, I talk about this a little bit during the review I just uploaded, but I feel like Wano, to me, feels like a roller coaster, right? And what I mean by that is you have these really slow climbs with something like Act 2, where it's like he's taken a lot of time building up this stuff with Yasu that doesn't really necessarily seem important. Then all of a sudden you hit that peak, and then boom, you go right down the ramp into something like this flashback where, I don't think a lot of us agreed that Act 2 was going on a little bit too long, but I don't think a lot of us expected Act 2 to end when it ended.
Yeah.
Like, when it just was like, okay, this is the end of Act 2. It's like, really? This is the spot? Not however long ago?
Yeah,
this is where... And then going right into this flashback and all this stuff that's happening with the Fire Festival, it feels like we're going now at, like, full speed, full velocity, doing loops, hitting those G-forces with the stuff that's going on in the flashback right now, so that when we jump to the Fire Festival, things might actually slow down a little bit again, and we get that slow climb, and we get more of that characterization with the scabbards. Because you gotta remember, too, again, Oden, like you said, 99% is probably dead, right? Based on everything that we know, he's probably dead. And if that's the case, we're gonna have a lot more time with the scabbards in present day during the Fire Festival. And I think, especially during that fight with Orochi, I just did a video with Neo Retro talking about potential ways that Orochi might go down. And the thing with Orochi is, he's got the 8 heads, he's 8-headed snake, all this stuff. There's 8 scabbards. Potentially each scabbard takes a head, slices him down, does this as their thing to be like, okay, this is Oden, like we're doing what you couldn't do. We're doing the one thing, we're avenging you, and you have the 8 scabbards cutting off a head. We can get something like that, potentially. Or there's a lot of other ways that you could build out the characterization of the scabbards, either through future fights or through what's going to happen in the story when we find out whoever the mole is. Because we still don't know who the rat among the scabbards is. And it's most likely going to be a traitor among the scabbards. Just the way that everything's playing out, it's probably going to be like Kanjuro or Shinobu or somebody. And when we eventually get that revelation, I think it's going to be more of like a Squardo situation than it is a situation where they're truly betraying them. I think it's something where like Orochi has promised them something, and that eventually that person's actually, like their intentions were pure. They were relatively, because there was something else going on there.
Perspective on things. Yeah.
Exactly.
100%.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. And I think what I think is interesting is like that Oda is flashing out Oden as like he's giving him so much, like with every panel, Oden and Orochi both are getting so much characterization. And it's so amazing to read, but at the same time when you keep thinking that Oden is gonna die most likely, it's like like, I mean, it's from a storytelling perspective, it's great because
Sure,
like
it's
the
great.
impact will be greater.
Odin's such a likable
Dude,
he's
Odin,
such a likable
Odin
character.
is such like, I love the character, like the nuances with which Oda is like creating his character, like introducing him as this like chat character that's like doing shit, and then like with like small details in every sequence that he's showing us that he's actually a little bit different from what we see, but in some way he's not. You know, like that is awesome. I love that.
Oh, like the Whitey-chan moment?
Yeah, like
I love that moment.
Dude, that is so funny.
That was hilarious.
That is so funny. But you know, in some instances, he's like, he is exactly as he was like portrayed at the beginning. Like he is that super fight-loving, adventure-loving, like with like taking any risk type of guy. And then at the same time, we also, like Oda shows us subtly more and more like how he's actually super kind, always trying to protect people, trying to act in people's interest, having like this kind of selfless side to him that people apparently didn't or weren't able to translate to others.
I mean, even in this most recent chapter, right, where we had the thing where he's being dragged for 3 days, but hears the cries of Toki and immediately takes action, right? And he was an hour away from officially joining Whitebeard, right? He was doing this for 3 days.
I think it was like minutes or something, even
10 minutes
or minutes or something, yeah. And right from joining the crew, but he said, "Nope, there's a lady in trouble. I gotta go take care of it." So yeah, you do see the kind-hearted side of him there. Even I mean, with like, the kids, even too, like with Nekomamushi and Arashi a couple chapters ago, where the kids are on the pikes and he's standing up for them when the rest of the people at Wano were against him.
I feel like Odin definitely, as of this last chapter, I think his characterization, he's like firmly cemented in my mind as like a character that I really, really like. Because I think last chapter really fleshed out the, softer, maybe more fun-loving, goofy side of him and everything like that, kind-hearted and stuff. So I think Odin's characterization, great. I think the Scabbards, we can definitely still get a lot more characterization out of them and everything. I think the one thing that I still feel was missing from the 962 chapter was just that tying those two together. So feeling like the Scabbards, why they love, or what bonded them to Odin so much, I still wish we'd gotten a little more out of that. Like, Inuarashi, Nekomamushi, Kawamatsu, good. Kinemon, Denjiro, good. But Raizo and like Kanjuro, I just wish we'd gotten a little more out of them for why they're so willing to die for Odin. Because like, I can like them separately.
Do you think that maybe, not to step on your toes, but do you think that maybe the reason why Kanjuro or Raizo was skimmed over is that maybe one of them is the traitor, and that's when we're going to find out information?
And then that's like a big possibility too.
Right.
It's just
That'd
like,
I like that.
I don't know. I want it to be believable that like each of them so far seems like on the surface willing to die for Odin, kind of. Because I think for the rest of the 8, like that bond is super important. That's what's been driving the story so far. So I'm sure we're going to get more of that through the flashback. And again, like I think at this point, just the thought of Odin being killed by Kaito and Orochi, like that's already like set up for me to be like a really cool climactic part.
What I think would be
I think that too is something that happened during this chapter, right? With Whitebeard in the very beginning when he's talking to Odin and goes, "Oh, you have a really strong personality. I can't have that on my crew." It reminds me of my last crew. Like right there, it's setting the seeds for a Whitebeard Kaito reunion at some point during this. Yeah. Well, because they just both left the Rocks Pirates. And so there's going to be something, like now that Kaito, if he does, well, we don't know if Kaito's left the Rock Pirates at this point, but we could assume that he has if Whitebeard is left. And if he has, what brings Kaito to Wano Country in the first place? And if Izo stays with Whitebeard, like, how is that going to work? Because this chapter...
Wouldn't it be amazing, though, if, like, what I've been thinking, I have, like, literally no evidence for that, but I thought, like, from a storytelling perspective, wouldn't it be great if, like, Odin and Kaito actually started off as, like, chats, as, like, friends, And then, like, the real betrayal is, like, Kaito actually backstabbing Odin? Because I see a lot of, I mean, obviously, like, Kaito is a beast, and, like, I don't doubt that he might be able to take out Odin by himself. But I think the story would be so much more interesting if Odin gets built up as this guy who actually is able to compete with Yonkos, play in that league, and then he actually gets taken out by someone like Kaito by getting tricked or getting backstabbed in some way or form. I think that would be super interesting.
With Kaito, too. Oh, go ahead.
I'll just say it's so cool. Like, I don't know if we go back a little bit, like our perception of Odin from when we first heard about him and stuff, it's like, oh, it's Momo's dad. How strong is that guy going to be or whatever? All right. It sounds like he's kind of strong. And then over time, it's like, all right, these Scabbards are really building him up. And then at some point, it's like, oh my god, he cut Kaito. What the hell? And now people are literally like, yeah, I think Kaito could compete with him maybe, but I'm not sure. And it's our perception of it's totally changed. I still personally think that Kaido should be stronger than Oden at the end of the day, just to keep kind of Kaido as this figure that needs to be defeated.
I completely agree.
The stakes of the current storyline.
And that's where I was going, too, with what I was going to say, because I completely agree with you. I feel like Kaido... I know people are going to rag on me for this if this doesn't end up being true, but I'm sticking to my guns. I truly feel Kaido's a dragon that ate a devil fruit. I truly believe that at this point, because everything, and I've been saying this for years, and ever since we got that reveal, people are like, well, hold that L, Roger, because now we know he's a dragon. It's like, no, we don't actually, because we've seen Oda boxes for every other member of the Beast Pirates, and they all have a subclass, dragon fruit. They've got, Queen has, his devil fruit. You got King. There's subclasses of that devil fruit, but we haven't seen a pure dragon at all. We haven't seen a dragon devil fruit. And then you wonder, Momonosuke ate the fake devil fruit, the smile devil fruit, and then became a dragon. But then how was that developed? Because obviously Caesar Clown's like a nut job. Like, was that through Vegapunk? Is Vegapunk the one that actually made the devil fruit then? And then why did he make that? Like, how did he get dragon DNA to even make the fruit? Like, did he copy Kaido's fruit somehow? And there's all these weird ties of things that we don't know that could potentially be explained in this flashback. But the one big thing to me still is that what is going to drive Kaido outside of just pure anger to go to Wano country? Outside of, like, there's got to be some tie, either the Onigashima or something.
Or whatever.
Yeah, or like the numbers. Like, we still don't know what the hell's going on with the numbers. Like, are those numbers his ancestors that are from Onigashima? Like, is he a number that ate a devil fruit? Like, there's all this other stuff. And I think the reason that we haven't seen the devil fruit announced up to this point, I think the reason we haven't seen an Oda box is because when we do get that revelation of whatever Kaido's fruit is, I truly do not think it's going to be as simple as this dragon devil fruit. It's either like he's a dragon who ate an Oni fruit or something, or it's like he is a number or an Oni or an Ors race or whatever that ate a certain type of dragon devil fruit. I don't think it's just going to be a regular Mythical Zone original dragon fruit. It's going to be like some type of god level weird dragon fruit that people aren't expecting.
Hopefully, man.
I remember my Rogers-based reaction. I remember the Rogers-based reactions of like hearing the dragon who ate an Oni fruit and stuff. I even remember your reaction from when Kaido in dragon form showed up and stuff, and you're like, awesome.
795. That was like one of the first reactions that was on there. Was I was talking prior to even doing that chapter. We got the reveal of Kaido. I was like, I bet with Momo and all this stuff that's going on here, I bet he's going to be an Oni just due to that story, like the Peach Boy story, and the Oni being the final boss. And then when we saw Kaido in 795, and he's got the Oni thing, and he's got the club, and I'm like, the theory's right. Like, I can't believe it. And then of course, little by little, we got the stuff with the dragons, and now it seems less likely than it did before. But I still feel like there's got to be a greater tie to Wano that we don't know about yet with Kaido.
And I mean, in general, like, Wano being so closely connected also to like the Void Century and everything like that is. Do you think, for example, okay, let's maybe get into the chapter actually a little bit.
Sure.
We should move it along a little bit.
I personally took it as confirmed in this chapter that Toki originally was from Wano and now is trying to find her way back there. But I saw also a lot of people saying she's just looking for Wano for some reason. What's your take on that?
Poneglyphs. That's my answer to that. Poneglyphs. I think to her, we don't know how long she's been traveling through the future or whatever. She says she's 800 years old, but she's actually 28. We don't know when she started time traveling, but assuming she was like 27, right? When she started making these giant time jumps. What could have happened is maybe she witnessed or heard about the poneglyphs actually being crafted, because we know the poneglyphs are crafted in Wano, and we know they're ancient things. We know this isn't something that, we're going to see crafted during this flashback. There's some type of ancient thing that's been around for a really long time. And so I feel like Toki knows about that. I think she knows that the poneglyphs, she's either aware of the poneglyphs through some other, I don't think from Wano, but like aware of it through some other island or something. Or maybe she discovered that island on the Grand Line where Joy Boy left the poneglyph. And it's like there's something there where then she goes, I need to get to Wano country, because she found out that that's where they're from. And then little by little has been jumping to the future to get there, finally runs into Oden, and then that's when we're going to get all that information when we eventually go back to Wano country. But I think it all loops back to the poneglyphs. I think she understands the true meaning of what the poneglyphs mean for the people who are originally from the Void Century and whatever's being covered up.
Right. What I've been reading, what I think was really interesting is that, so for me personally, having her last name revealed to be basically a Japanese, like traditional Japanese last name, kind of like at least Oda wants us to think that she is from Wano. Like either she really is or she's not.
Yes.
But what I think was a really interesting thing, I think I read it on Reddit or somewhere, was someone saying that what if Toki was from Wano, but then Wano, like the country Wano, was actually moved, as was like theorized by other people, and like she ended up somewhere else because when you jump into the future, you end up at the same like geographical location. But like, what if the country moved actually? And I thought it was like an interesting.
So I somewhat agree with that, because I think there is a country that moved 800 years ago, and I think there is a lot of stuff that's been going on, but I actually don't think it's Wano country. I talked about this in another video, actually, again with Neo Retro. We talked about a lot of this stuff. I actually think Marijoa is what moved. And the reason I say that is because, and I think it was also relatively recent when this happened. So let me sort of explain why. We know, based on the lore of the world, that Marijoa was founded 800 years ago by the Celestial Dragons, yada, 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 all this stuff. If you look at the lineup of the red line, right, where you go up the red line and then you shoot down the other side, there's 2 giant mountains and then a peak at the very top. Now, a lot of people are like, well, that looks like Wano country, because Wano's got the 2, it's got like the 2 peaks and then it's got the thing in the middle. I think that's a red herring. I think that what we're looking at is where Marijoa is on the red line. I think that's where God Valley was. And I think the fight that happened at God Valley, because all these Marines were like, well, where is God Valley on the map? We never heard about this. And Sengoku's being kind of coy about it. We don't know when Marine headquarters and all the stuff that was built up in Marijoa was actually built there. And I think going back to it, now that we know what God Valley is and potentially the stuff with 800 years ago, I think the area where Imu was walking underground into that chamber with the giant straw hat, I think that was God Valley. Because the idea of like a God Valley, you have these giant statues that are there that look almost like deity. I mean, if you think about it, when you go back to that panel, knowing there's a place called God Valley, that sure as hell looks like that could be God Valley. And if Marijoa was built above it, and the government has kept that a secret from the rest of the world for all these years, and built up Marijoa and said, "Oh no, this is truly the place where all the celestial dragons live," and yeah, it's like this holy land.
Always been there.
Of course, the holy land. It's always been there. It's been a holy land. You just took it over and you rewrote history, and that's why people can't talk about the Void Century, because something happened where the world government took over.
I really like that.
That's my prediction, anyway. So.
That's interesting. I've never heard that before.
Nope.
All right.
Rogers Base exclusive.
Dude, this is so irritating because, like, there's so many, like, once we heard about God Valley, right? Like, there's so many things that spawned off of that.
Yeah.
And, like, I already don't know what to think. And now this is adding, like, a whole, like, 30th possibility, basically. Yep. And now I'm just, like, so backwards over. Like, there's some things in One Piece that, like, there's so many possibilities to them that I've kind of just stopped thinking about them. I'm like, all right, we're going to find out about God Valley once we find out about God Valley, basically. Yeah. But that's actually really interesting to think that, like, it is Marijoa, or, like, we already know what God Valley is or where it is, basically.
Because we have also, if you remember, when we've seen Marijoa, you've never actually seen the full grounds of Marijoa. It's always shown where they have, like, the Holy Land and there's clouds all over. We don't know really what's beneath the clouds, besides the red line. And we also don't know, like, remember when they were being escorted to the Reverie? They took those lifts up the mountain, and then there was, like where the wind was happening, and Stelly and all that. I'm telling you, man, it's like they're bypassing whatever is in the middle. Like, they built something over what's ever inside of the mountain. And that's where Imu was walking down.
Attack on Titan spoilers real quick. So you're saying, like, that's the wall?
Oh my, can we talk about, hold on, are both you guys caught up to the manga?
No, I'm not. I'm almost caught up.
Oh my god, dude.
I've heard it's really good right now.
It's so good. Fuck. The current manga arc of Attack on Titan, without spoiling anything, is legit, I think, one of the best potential endings to a manga series I've ever read in my life. It is so good how he wrote this from chapter 1. Isayama knew, dating back to chapter 1, full well what he was doing, with literally every line of dialogue, with the... I'm not going to say anything, dude. I don't want to spoil you.
Catch up.
It's so...
Ohara, where are you at?
Dude, I'm just caught up with the anime, that's it.
Oh, okay. We're not gonna say anything. I will tell you this, because
between Roger
we know. Yeah. So where we are right now in the manga, we're like in the final few chapters of the series. We're near the very, very end right now.
Oh, literally the end, like one.
Literally the end. We're like super close. Yeah. And what's gonna happen next year is the final season of Attack on Titan's coming out. They already announced it.
Yep. Oh, the final season.
Yeah. So my guess is that within the next 5 chapters or so, the series ends. So like by May, and then June kicks off. Boom, you get the completion. You're getting the final story arc, and then there you go. And so by the end of next year, anime and manga people will both know what happened to Attack on Titan.
Oh man!
But yeah,
that's
it's so good.
That makes me want to catch up. Kind of.
Shit.
But like, where
I will tell you right now.
was...
So you're not completely caught up. Then you're like in the middle. You said.
Yeah. I'm somewhere between you and Ohara, basically.
So did you leave? Okay. Ohara, close your ears. Listeners too. Very briefly, minor spoiler. Have you gotten to the time skip yet?
I've passed the time skip.
Okay,
so
you're good. You're good.
I've gotten insight into the outside world and everything like that. Yep. Mm-hmm.
You're good. You can put your headphones back on, Ohara. We're good. I don't know if you can hear me. There you go. He's putting his headphones back on. There you go.
That's sweet.
But
sorry to everyone who just got spoiled. I didn't.
No, it's a very minor thing. It really wasn't that big of a thing. But if you've gotten to that point in the story, you're pretty much in the end game.
Yeah. No, I figured based on like what everything was being revealed and all the stuff that was happening, what was happening with Aaron's character and everything like that.
Dude,
I was
now,
like, all right, we're getting
now.
there.
I'm seriously like torn between like binging the manga or just waiting and watching the anime.
It's a tough call,
I've
honestly,
seen clips
because
of like season 3 of the anime. It looks really good. If Roger's saying it's going to end next year, then just wait.
The anime was
wait next year and get into the anime. I might actually do that as well.
I'd watch all the anime and then I would just wait until the final season, because you're not going to be that far behind. I mean, the series is going to end and then we'll go right into the 4th season. So I think you're good. But yeah, right now, currently, I think when the mainstream picks up on what the true ending of Attack on Titan is and like what everything means, I truly believe this. We're going to get a Demon Slayer moment within the community. I really do. I think we're going back to the popularity of season 1. There's going to be a huge spike because it's so out of nowhere, and it's not like it makes sense within the context of the story. What happens makes complete sense if you've been following the story from the beginning. Like all the clues are there, but it sideswipes you in a way where you're truly not expecting what's going to happen. And so that's the beautiful thing about it. It's really difficult to spoil because there's so many moving parts that when you eventually get to it, if someone just told you the bare bones, like spoiler of what happened in the most recent chapter, you'd probably be like, well, I expected that towards the end of the series, but I don't think you'd expect how it got there, which is what makes it so exciting.
It was already pretty surprising. Like the whole word reveal, like revealing the bigger context. Right. That is at least where I'm caught up to with the anime. Like that was already a real mindfuck moment.
Yeah.
Ohara, you've gotten past the basement and stuff in the anime.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So I think sorry to everyone, but like so the anime. So if you haven't caught up to the anime, then sorry.
Then what are you doing?
Timestamps.
Don't worry about it.
Timestamps.
True.
People can check.
You're fine.
So I think if I remember correctly, the season 3 ends with them reaching the ocean. I think that is where season 3 ends.
Now, season 3, because I haven't watched all of season 3, because again, I'm a reader, so I was just going to binge a lot of it. Did season 3 show you
the flashback?
Basically, the explanation. Yeah, a flashback of what was in the basement.
Aaron's dad's flashback. Yeah.
Okay, you do get that.
Yeah.
You do get that.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So Ohara sounds like you know about the outside world. Roger, let me ask this basically, because this is why I dropped off of Attack on Titan. Basically.
Okay.
So without like kind of spoiling what happens or anything like that to me, but can you let me know if like it heads in a direction that I might like a little better?
Sure.
So the reason I dropped off Attack on Titan, I really liked what I felt was the initial premise of the series, which was humanity. We don't know what the hell has happened. They're in this little bubble basically, and it feels like the entire world is just filled with monsters and nightmares, and they're just trying to understand what the bigger picture is and everything like that. Right? That was my sense towards the beginning of the series, and I thought that was really exciting. Like, my height of enjoyment for Attack on Titan was when they're going through, and then there's this female Titan and stuff like that. Later on, there's this beast Titan that's talking. That was when I was like, what is this series? Like, it's so intriguing. Once we got to the basement and we got the reveal that, okay, there is an outside world. It's kind of like Nazi Germany almost to a degree.
Dude, not just to a degree. I was like, what's happening?
It's like very much so.
I don't want to. I haven't read it in a bit, so I'm just saying from what I remember. But yeah, I just felt like suddenly the whole world to me felt smaller. It felt like suddenly a lot of the fantasy or the mystery around it had kind of been wiped away, and I felt like, okay, hey, have you guys seen that movie The Village by M. Night Shyamalan?
Oh, sure.
To me, it felt like The Village, where it was interesting towards the beginning, where it's like,
and then you get the twist, and you're like, oh, really? This is what it was?
Yeah, it's just like, to me, it was like, okay, it's just a modern world with like a little fantasy thing in the middle, and to me, that killed a lot of the excitement of the series for me. I kept reading in bits and pieces, but to me, the magic that had hooked me on Attack on Titan was gone. And I totally understand why people really like it. I will
tell you, without spoiling you anything, if that's what you like about the series, dude, I mean, you're gonna think the ending is like one of the coolest things you've ever seen in your life. I mean, it's truly,
I will get back into it.
The way that it loops everything together, and you see more of the world outside, right? And you get to see the perspective of the people from the world outside. And then what happens and how that directly ties back to where we started the series. It's so hard to talk about without spoiling you. And I want to...
All I know is, Mikasa, your hair is too long or some stuff like that. I remember that from chapter 1.
Such an intriguing pitch here. My God, I'm excited.
I mean, when you finally get to one of the big explanations of... Well, this is stuff that you both know. This is like season 2, season 3 stuff.
Yeah.
But like the stuff with memory and like how people know certain things.
Control.
Like when you find out what that means, and then you'll die.
Okay,
you'll die.
All right.
I died on live stream like 3 times while reading this chapter. I could not believe what that meant, and it was amazing. It was amazing.
All right. Because my fear is basically
more, I'm going to spoil you. I can't.
Like when the end of Attack on Titan hits, the spoilers are going to be all over Twitter and stuff like that,
bro.
And then I might miss out on like a really good ending.
I'll tell you this though. I'll tell you this. If you haven't been spoiled already, you're not going to be spoiled.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't been spoiled already. Anytime I see Attack on Titan, I just scroll right past.
The one huge thing that could have easily been spoiled. Attack on Titan people are great. They do not spoil. They don't talk. I'm shouting out to all the One Piece fans out there who post their spoilers prior to even the chapter scans coming out. All you trash human beings, listen up, all right? Follow the example of the Attack on Titan fans, who they don't even wait for the official release. They like go above and beyond. They make a point to be like, we're not going to spoil anime-only watchers. We're not saying anything. We're just go read the chapter for yourself, and then you know the right communities to go in, and you talk about it, and nothing gets spoiled. Because I guarantee you, if you have not been spoiled on the thing that happened like 3 chapters ago and you don't know where the story is going, you're not going to be spoiled until the anime comes out. It's just, it's how it is.
Awesome.
Because it's such a massive game-changing thing that it's, like, you won't be.
All right, now I can't not catch up.
Every reveal, every chapter for the past 3 or 4 has been like that. It's like you have this massive reveal and you think you know where it's going, and then it's like, fooled you. It's actually this. Boom. And you're like, well, what does that mean? No, it's just kidding. Here's another twist. Boom. And you're, what? And it just layers on top of everything. It's so good. It's so good. Read Attack on Titan, people. Read Attack on Titan.
You've sold
Guess who's not sleeping tonight?
I will be catching.
Oh, my God.
Oh, Ohara, are you going to be reading?
No, I actually have to get up tomorrow. Maybe.
Yeah, real person stuff. Let's get back. I guess technically I'm still hosting, right? So, do we have any last thoughts on the chapter or anything like that? I guess I'll just say, like, I really like the ending of, and you can go ahead right after this. I love the ending, seeing Gold Roger, knowing that he's coming into this. Because what's so cool about this flashback is it looks like we're gonna get, 1, all that lore that we've wanted to see. Or at least a good chunk of it. 2, we're gonna get the hype of, like, seeing Gold Roger, like, there's the lore aspects or the reveals, but then also the hype of seeing these characters we've wanted to see for so long kind of interact or even go at it, possibly. Mm-hmm. And then 3, we're gonna end it off with the tragedy of Odin and everything. So I do agree that this has the potential to just be, hands down, the best flashback in One Piece and everything. Yeah. But seeing Roger look like Ace,
dude, that hit me.
That was cool. That was cool.
That hit home hard.
Yeah,
that was cool. That got emotions out of me that I thought
did. It was cool. Yeah. It was like,
and I really trust Oda, and I like so far how he's handled it, that he is showing us these legendary pirates like a Whitebeard, a Roger, but at the same time I feel he has like a fair grasp of like keeping their legend and their mystery, like keeping it up to a certain degree to like not make them too human in a way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like Whitebeard still felt like, when Whitebeard knocked out that octopus dude and came out of the shadows and stuff, that was still, it's still Whitebeard.
Dude, and yeah, like his characterization is just like amazing. Like seeing him acting the way he does with his crew and like Kinemon fist bumping Whitebeard. Dude, I think that was instantly put Kinemon into like my top 10 One Piece moments. And he did it so casually. He was like, yeah, we're not letting him join.
Yeah, we gotta understand it. We're good.
Thanks, man.
Odin's staying here.
Dude, I don't know. The Roger panel at the end was, I think, my favorite panel of the thing. Just because, one, I loved seeing his name as Gold Roger. Yes. I don't know about you guys, but when I say I still say Gold Roger, even though I know what his actual name is. Just because Gold Roger is a dope name. It's just a dope name. Like, whose name is Gold Roger? Yeah, Gold is a dumb name in my opinion. I'm sorry, but Gold Roger, that's pretty cool.
I do think that by the end of this flashback, I think there's a specific reason Oda, when he showed the box,
that he chose the name
Gold Roger and didn't write Gold D Roger, because I think that's our hint to be like, hey, the Will of D stuff, that's going to be explained in this flashback. Don't you worry. Lady Toki, when she goes with Odin and the rest of them to Raftel and figures out something about the Void Century, I think that's sort of going to be the turning point for Roger, where he finally realizes, oh, I have a greater purpose in this world outside of just, eventually becoming the Pirate King and doing all this stuff. I think that's going to be his trigger to eventually call himself Gold D Roger and go by that name and own the fact that he's got the Will of D. And then, that's going to eventually be what takes him on the journey to the end.
Can I ask you guys?
Oh, Roger, do you think...
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
No, you ask first because I have, a bigger question.
No, I'm just saying, and I guess it's just going off of what Roger just said. Do you think that basically this flashback in itself, we're not just going to get some of Gold Roger or whatever, we're going to get basically his motivations and what set him on the path that he was on? That basically,
I think so. I think that's what that was, especially if he's with Lady Toki and she's from the Void Century. I think this, because we've heard about how he apparently found out something else regarding the world, right? We know that Roger figured out something and that eventually changed his course and changed his direction to do what he eventually did. So I think this could actually be that critical point, which is why Wano is so important to the overall story and why they keep hyping up Wano country as being so critically important, is because so many of the ties to Wano, including the poneglyphs, including Toki, all this stuff, is eventually, what leads Roger on the path that he goes on.
Yeah. Okay, I'd like to ask you, both of you... Oh shit, my voice is cracking already. I'd like to ask both of you, a little bit more... A deeper question, maybe, let's phrase it, regarding One Piece. Something I've been really curious about, and I'm not sure, too many people talk about it. Do you think, in general, that One Piece will have a big or a small ending? Will it be something political, where, regarding the Void Century especially, will it be something, well, there was this ancient kingdom that was free, and then there were, those plotting people, and they overthrew the ancient kingdom and formed the world government? Or do you think there's, Attack on Titan, gonna be, some mind blow, the world isn't really what it looks like kind of shit? What's your take on that?
I think it's both. I think it's going to be a little bit of both. I think there's going to be moments. I think the general idea that the world government covered something up in order to take power and did something with the
world, you mean?
Old Kingdom. Yeah, I think that we've all pretty much figured out, well, obviously that's where the story is going. So I don't think that'll be that giant of a revelation. I mean, it'll be a big revelation when we find out their motivations, what it is. But I think that general idea that that's where the story is going, I think we're all pretty much on the right track. I think the way that they get there is what's going to be surprising. I think there's going to be things that happen with Raftel, when we eventually get that story arc prior. Because I truly, and I think you guys agree with this, I think most One Piece fans agree with this, I don't think Raftel is going to be the final arc of the series. No. It can't be. Raftel is going to be the third to final arc. We're going to have world government stuff and all this after Raftel, which is why I think we're going to get to Raftel sooner than we think we're going to, even at this point, and why I think he's doing this flashback now. Because I really don't think we're more than maybe 2 or 3 story arcs from Raftel as we are right now. Because they clarified in Zou, they specifically were yo, the island at the end of the Grand Line, that's where you're supposed to find out about all this stuff. They got the shortcut. They're good. They don't need to do that right now. If they find out something in Wano, they could keep going on their journey.
Especially if Raftel is gonna most likely be the culmination of Luffy versus Blackbeard, and Blackbeard is...
Right.
Even though the world government is the institutional final villain of the series, Blackbeard is the personified big villain of the story, right? I think we can agree on that.
Right.
So that's gonna be a conflict that is gonna have to be fully fledged out. Then all the revelations on Raftel. So I think that is an arc that is also gonna take very long, just like everything that's happening there, right?
I think a lot of... Here's my other weird prediction, and I've talked about this a couple times before, so I'm just kind of reiterating myself. I've said this on Reveries, is I think the big reason we're getting a lot of this information about Raftel now is not just because we're closing in on Raftel, but I also think because the major arc after this one, I presume, and I think a lot of you guys probably presume this too, is going to be Elbaf, right? It has to be.
Yes.
With the way the story is going, it's got to be Elbaf. And if that's the case, there's a lot of story ties that could lead to Elbaf directly from Wano country. We know at some point the Straw Hat Grand Fleet's probably going to show up to the Fire Festival. Right. That's most likely going to happen at some point. All that stuff, Whitebeard Pirate, all that stuff is going to happen. And if it does, if Haruden arrives with the giant pirates at Wano near the ending, that's their ticket out. You know how there's always the ship that they travel on to get to the next place? That's it. Hardin shows up with the Giants. They're like, yo, we're heading back to Elbaf. Usopp's like, I can't wait to see Elbaf. Oh my god. And they go to Elbaf and they have like whatever the Thriller Bark adventure is in Elbaf. They do that. But I think the other major reason we're doing Elbaf next is because if we're getting the explanation, or at least we're getting a lot more hints and allusions to what the Will of D is, what Raftel is, the Void Century during this flashback, the other major half of the lore that isn't really explained here is Devil Fruits. And I think if the World Tree is in Elbaf, the thing that we've seen in the flashbacks, that's the other giant portion of the lore that still needs to be explained, that can be explained there, which then, okay, you got all the pieces of the Void Century, Will of D stuff, like the teases and things in Wano, you got teases about the Devil Fruits, and maybe Vegapunk shows up with the artificial stuff, all that stuff, there's Elbaf. Then after that, let's go to Raftel. You get to Raftel, something happens with Shanks and Blackbeard, whatever. Blackbeard goes down, bada bing, you find out the truth, you go straight into the world government. I mean, it's like everything is lining up in a way where like it makes sense now with the story.
But quick comment, Roger, like Shanks is dying, right? Like Shanks is pretty much dead.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think Blackbeard's going to kill Shanks.
Shanks is like Batman walking.
I've said this for a long time. I think this is what's going to happen. This is my prediction. I've talked about this in multiple videos. General outline. Shanks somehow meets up with them at Elbaf. Shanks travels with Luffy to Raftel. They go to Raftel together. Blackbeard kills Shanks at Raftel. Luffy and Blackbeard have a massive fight. They discover something within Raftel that's going to flood the island. It's going to put the crews of both Blackbeard and Luffy in danger. Luffy is going to save his crew. Blackbeard's going to save whatever the treasure is, whether this is the truth about the world or a poneglyph, or whatever the thing is in Raftel that's going to reveal the truth of whatever the world is. Blackbeard wants that treasure. That's what he cares most about than anything else. He doesn't give a shit about his crew. And Luffy's whole thing is friends. Blackbeard dies attempting to get whatever that is and drowns. And he's the first drowning in the series because in Treasure Island, in the literal book Treasure Island, which is like, I mean, X marks the spot, all the stuff. It's the #1 most iconic pirate story of all time. What happens at the end of Treasure Island? You got the main character and then you got Long John Silver. And Long John Silver stays in the room that ends up flooding with all the treasure because that's the thing that he's waited his whole life for. And then they find out, everything else about it. They're like, okay, well, it's about the journey, not the destination, whatever. And then the main character goes off and does his own thing. But Silver dies in Treasure Island. The thing floods. We're in a series where if you can't swim, you can never for years you're gonna drown. So Blackbeard drowns in Raftel, you get this massive fight, and then it's like, we're not done yet. Now we found out about this world, we need to go back to the world government, and that takes us to the final arc.
Dude, I love that. That's
very interesting.
The only thing that I think would make it even better is if Oda typically took that reference and took that inspiration and then again gave it like one of his twists, like
totally,
like in the end Blackbeard somehow survives or Luffy fishes him out of the, like one thing I know that to 99.9% won't happen, but what I personally think would be really dope if like even though Blackbeard is like the main villain of the story, in the end, Luffy even manages to like get him on his side after all they've been fighting about.
That'd be crazy.
And like they go together to Marijoa and like try to take down the world government together.
That also kind of goes in line with Treasure Island. If you've ever watched Treasure Island or Treasure Planet or whatever, Long John Silver, he betrays them, but eventually they're friends. Like, what could happen if the invincibility thing with Kaito somehow has to do with his devil fruit, and then Blackbeard gets that devil fruit because it's the strongest zone, and he has the Paramecia, the zone, the Logia. You think he dies at Raftel, and then spoiler alert, he survived and shows up in that final war, and then Luffy does somehow convince him that, like, no, the world government's our threat, and then Blackbeard dies during that too, bro. That could be the twist. That's what I'm saying.
I know from Treasure Planet the version that was basically he actually like sacrifices the treasure to save the kid. I forget who the kid was or whatever. Yeah, so what you just told me totally changed my view of what Treasure Island was about.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Like, Treasure Island's probably the exact same thing or whatever. I think we all agree to a certain degree about the general outline of like Wano to Elbaf to get a bit more of like those last pieces, and then Raftel is like the last piece, because I definitely think that Robin, whatever the final history of the world is, that's Robin's show, basically. So I definitely think that that's Robin's time to shine and everything like that. So I think here we're getting all the skeleton, and then like we get the heart of it basically come Raftel and everything like that.
Yeah.
I think the only thing I kind of do you guys know about that big theory about like what the One Piece is, that Arlong Park theory of it being the conjoining of all four oceans or whatever?
Oh yeah,
like
where they destroy the red line and then it's all blue. Yeah, of course.
So to me, that's a popular theory. I just don't like I don't know if everybody
is the theory that that's the One Piece, or is the theory that that's going to happen at the end of the story? Because I feel like that's two very different things.
I think the theory is that the X that marks the spot. Well, see, but this goes back to what we were talking about with God Valley earlier, right? Because if God Valley was built under, if Marijoa was built on top of it, right, and they destroy Marijoa and it reveals God Valley and it unites the seas again, I mean, that's still similar. Goes in line with everything. It's still pretty similar.
To me personally, like I very much buy the theory that is One Piece, because to me that kind of just ties things together in a really elegant way overall. Like One Piece, like you were talking about Attack on Titan sort of, Ohara, you were saying, like, do you think the ending is big reveal, or do you think it's smaller scale or whatever? I think One Piece is set up in a way that there's about 1 million different jigsaw puzzle pieces basically at play that we don't know. Like, we can think about anything like, oh, what's the hat? That's a question mark. What's Im's deal? That's a question. Like, there's question marks over 1 million things. I do think that maybe there won't be one single reveal that kind of, like, blows our minds and is like, okay, that just puts everything in perspective, but I think it's a cascading sort of series of reveals that just puts this jigsaw piece with that jigsaw piece and stuff.
Emu like is Joy Boy. Boom.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that would blow my mind, actually. But, like, I've heard Emu is Vegapunk, and that would, I don't know, that would
be wild, too, yeah.
But I mean,
like, I definitely think that the connecting of the seas, to me, that's the biggest sort of reveal One Piece, that we could get. If that's
that's Tekken's area, but I think, like, the geography of One Piece screams that this is, like, an artificially created world, right? Like,
absolutely, yeah.
So, I mean, like, the impression, like, you can get a little bit from the Void Century, at least, like, what Oda might be trying to fool us with, or actually is going to, is, like, that the Void Century had, like, events on a complete, like, a little bit Game of Thrones style, or, like, Lord of the Rings style, rather, where you had, like, in the previous age where everything, all the battles were bigger and like bigger forces were at work anyway, right? Like, I don't know how familiar you are with like Lord of the Rings.
Oh, you're saying
but
like
that. First age, like you have like actually like sides fighting where you have like ancient weapons, people who have the ability to like raise entire continents into the sky. It sounds a little bit like that might be something Oda could be going to.
Oh, I would prefer no, personally. Me too. For that kind, because I kind of
like
I love the current story. It
like,
feels like
tying it in with Eneru and all the stuff that's on the moon. I mean,
that's the moon.
The moon's
also
obviously going to play a part, right? That's something that's just like that's totally going to play a part. But I think that goes in line
There's
too.
So many question marks
with whatever the reveal is at Raftel, right? I think whenever we find out about the Void Century, whatever we find out from Toki, that can all come from that. I think the crux of the thing that we need to find out is what happened during that Void Century, and I think just finding out whatever that is going to explain so many things about the series.
I mean, the moon in general, sorry, man. Do you want to go first?
No, go ahead.
I just remember, like, because I tipped on that in my review, because the moon is also such an intensely used symbol in One Piece, and especially in the last chapter, I think it, like, especially in Wano, it's going to play such a big role, because like you have all the clans that we know tie back to the Void Century, like the Kozuki have obviously the moon in their name, and then Toki has the moon in her name, right? So
her prophecy too. Do you remember that prophecy she did?
Yes, the prophecy.
Which, by the way, doesn't fit with the character Toki that I saw last chapter. I'm like, she's not giving out prophecies like that. That doesn't seem like her.
Well, I think we're gonna find out something else about her, obviously, with the next couple chapters, which will lead you to then be like, oh, that's why she did this.
But you also have like the Minks with the Sulong thing. You have obviously like NL. So I think
the Dawn is so big in One Piece.
So the moon is definitely gonna play some role, or like, I personally don't think that we're gonna go to the moon. I don't believe that, but I do believe that it has like a big role to play.
Well, I mean, even Sulong, all the stuff with the Sulong Minks, Minks going Sulong with the full moon, like, is there a connection there between the Minks and maybe a kingdom that's on the moon or something? Or if it's just as simple as, like, the werewolf thing where you full moon and you transform.
Yeah, and like
it
with
could
the
be something that's simple,
also,
or there could be a deeper meaning.
It was implied that they're from the moon.
Exactly.
I personally do actually think that, I don't know, maybe this will be a big theory video down the line or something like that, but I do actually think that the moon is... I think it's a destination we're going to hit, precisely because it's kind of like, it seems so impossible or out of the world, basically, but like that is like kind of One Piece's thing. And the arc that we kind of got that set up for going to the moon was Skypiea, which itself was an arc that was kind of like, anything is possible in this world, and how do you top going to the sky? It's like going to the moon. Like, I don't think Oda
How crazy would it be if somehow, some way, like, the Mary Joa lifts off of the top of God Valley or whatever, and then it reconnects to something on the moon. In the final war, with everybody already there for the final throne war, they're already in the area that lifts to the moon, and it's on the moon. The final fight's on the moon, and then they come crashing back down to the seas, and the moon falling is what destroys the red line. I'll come back to this in 10 years, bro. The moon is gonna fall and destroy the red line. That's it. And we've seen this a little bit with the Noah falling that was gonna destroy Fishman Island, dude. It's the next thing. The moon falls. We're Majora's Mask boys now.
The moon is actually the body of one of the tailed beasts sealed away.
Madara shows up. It's all coming together.
How crazy would that be though if the moon actually crashes and destroys the red line? That'd be wild.
And they can make up whatever. Like they can be like, oh, the moon's not that big. It's just pretty big. It's totally fine if it falls down.
Yeah.
Dude, that's exciting. Should we get into questions a little bit, or?
Yeah, I was thinking basically because we've got. Let's try and move it along. We won't do too many questions because we've already actually talked a lot longer than I thought. Yeah, dude, you want to pick first?
I have to open it, so you have to pick first. Sorry.
Okay, I'll pick first.
I'm not that well prepared.
I'll pick it. We'll pick only good ones because we don't.
Ohara exposed.
To kind of.
This is an audio podcast, not a video one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an audio podcast.
That sucks. I'm looking at myself.
We can all take off our pants. It's fine.
No, it's okay. I was just asking because I was looking at myself in the webcam. I'm like, I'm kind of cute.
Aw.
I like the outfit I'm wearing today. It's nice. Feels good.
It's okay, we can.
Dude, for the, anytime that there's I think in our community in general, everybody just does, camera off discussions, basically.
A lot of the time,
and I always jump in with camera on, and then I feel a little out of place. I'm like, what, maybe, now
but
I feel too self-conscious.
But ironically enough, you're the one doing the podcast where there's no camera, so.
Yeah.
You're feeding into it.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, Ohara and I just talk face-to-face. I feel like it's easier, it's more personal.
Yeah, it definitely is.
It is. You know what I
mean? Discussing about certain topics is just so much more intense when you can translate.
I think the thing is though, when you're doing those long live streams like the Reverie, right, and it's 6 hours, I think the reason a lot of people like to have their cameras off so they can run to the bathroom and go get food and not have to worry.
You just want to lie down, drink something,
right,
eat something,
right.
Last stream, Morj was just having breakfast during while we did the podcast.
Oh yeah, that was
that was good.
Do you have something? A lot of these are kind of stuff that we've kind of gone over. Who will die Wano? Who will die in Wano? That's a simple one. Yeah,
Kaito and Big Mom next.
I don't think. I disagree. I don't think Big Mom dies.
Big Mom might not, but Kaito's for sure.
Kaito dies. I think.
Orochi's definitely gonna die. That's
I think a Straw Hat dies.
Orochi's gonna get his head cut off.
I'm gonna lean out of the window and I'm gonna say that a Straw Hat dies. I'm gonna say that Usopp might die in Wano. But I think we've talked about
it.
Before
I think Elbaf.
Okay, you're right.
I think he's gotta get there at least.
Yeah. Okay.
I was gonna say there's no way Usopp dies in Wano country.
I rearranged my statement to Usopp dies in general. Full stop.
I just think Law. I think Law's endgame is Wano, basically.
Yeah,
because I think that's how his story started. His character arc has resolved.
I don't know, but then Law might have, Law might have as well died in Dressrosa. If that,
I think, in my opinion, Dressrosa was kind of the arc. I think it was a two-phase sort of setup where I do think Oda's intent was always whatever, Law goes out sacrificing himself for Luffy.
Sure.
Because their entire relationship started with basically the question of can Law be trusted and stuff. And then Dressrosa was fleshing out his character, Luffy doing something for Law, which resolved all of his character's issues basically, and kind of Law is in debt to Luffy even if it doesn't come up often, but Law considers himself, he was no, that was all thanks to Straw Hat. And I think it'd be really cool for it all to come around basically with they set off on a mission to defeat Kaido to get together, so Law going out in the process of helping Luffy accomplish that now that Luffy's beaten Doflamingo for him. I don't know, I think that would be an interesting character.
I mean, honestly, how else is Luffy going to beat Kaido and Big Mom in one story arc, right? There's got to be some big thing that Law does in order to help them. I mean, and Law's already become such a big part of Wano country. His crew is there. So, if he dies, what's going to happen with his crew? Well, his crew can just join the Grand Fleet. They can make a ship in the Grand Fleet. They can take the submarine, and then Beppo's the new leader or whatever, and they join the Grand Fleet. So, the things are being set up where Law could potentially die here, but I think the reason he won't is I think he's too powerful not too powerful, but too popular of a character to not make it to the final arc. I think he will die by the end of the series, but I think Law will probably die in that final story arc. It seems like one of those gut punches. I think it would be cool for Wano Country if he did. And I'm saying that as somebody who Law is my favorite character in the entire series. So I'd be devastated if he died in Wano Country. But I think the idea of the immortality part of his Devil Fruit is just like, it's too endgame to me for him to use that in Wano Country. For him to just go out using his immortality thing, and that's how they beat Kaito and Big Mom. Because then if you make Luffy immortal now, or you make whoever immortal now...
I don't think Luffy's becoming immortal. I think it might be the reverse of, like, if Kaito has had immortality surgery done to him, then the only way to defeat Kaito would have to have a reverse of that surgery.
Right, but if you remove the immortality, then you take it on. So if you're the person who gave it, like, say, for example, you're the person who has the Op fruit, right? And you use the immortality thing to then give life to somebody, you die in the process. So my thinking is that if Law takes that back from him, he's not going to die when he gets that life force. If anything, it's going to work as like an extra life, where then Law dies somehow during Wano after taking the immortality thing. People are like, oh no, not Law. And then like, just kidding, I got another life in me thanks to my fruit. Like I could see that happening for sure.
I just think that, like, I don't know, Oda could make up the rule of basically, like, it's immortality surgery either way. So, like, doing it, you die, or, like, reversing it, you die.
You die.
Because, like you said, Law's a really popular character. In my mind, it's like he takes up so much space in the story that he almost can't keep going past this arc, basically. You know what I mean? Like, he's he was the main character in my mind from Punk Hazard through like 50% of Dressrosa. Like,
I agree.
You could argue it was his.
Well, for me personally, I rather think that Emu is probably a more likely character to have had the surgery done on him.
Oh, Im for sure. At some point. Yeah.
Yes, and that's my other point too, is that if Emu was given the immortality thing, right? Like, obviously, Law's not going to die, and then his fruit goes to, like, one of Blackbeard's crew or something, and then the Blackbeard's crew uses that Emu. No, but it's not going to be... Blackbeard's crew, what would they have? Like, why would they use the immortality thing on Emu, unless it goes back to what we were talking about, with the thing where, you know, Blackbeard realizes, maybe Luffy's right, and then by the ending, has one of his crew members or whatever use the fruit to... you know, take away the immortality of Emu, which finally allows them all to take down the world government. Like, I could see that happening, but that's really the only other way. And in order for that to happen, you need to have Blackbeard on the side of Luffy, which I think is much less likely than Law just using the immortality thing and taking away Emu's immortality.
Right.
There's a lot of moving parts at this point, but I do think it's possible that it's both Kaito who has immortality and Emu. Like, there's no limit to how many times, as long as somebody's out there willing to do the surgery, I guess. But
I guess. Maybe.
It's like, I do think, I just personally feel that Law's story kind of concludes in Wano, and it was always set to kind of conclude in Wano. And I do think in terms of impactful deaths, like, Oda killed Ace to make Marineford a really emotional arc.
Yeah.
Law here, I think Usopp towards the end of the story, I think he kind of has it lined up potentially to hit those dramatic beats. But we'll see. I know Law's maybe too popular to kill at this point. I just feel like he does need to leave the story at some point to, you know, highlight Kid, other supernovas, etc.
People are definitely dying, though. I mean, like, Wano, people are not making it out alive. There's going to be multiple deaths. I would say minimum 2 is what's going to happen. I think if we got 2 in Marineford, we're getting at least 2 in this one.
Minimum. Let's get maybe another question. We have one question.
Yep.
Can you guys dance freestyle? So we just did that.
Oh, you were gonna pick that one?
You just didn't see, so
I saw that. I was
sorry,
like,
guys. We were just while we were discussing this, we were dancing already. Super sorry for that. Maybe this one. Are the Straw Hats getting a cabin boy? What's your thought?
I saw this pop up on Twitter today. Something about Momo. I kind of believe that. I could see Momo being a cabin boy.
I'm gonna say this right now. I've been on this gravy train for a long time. I want this to happen more than literally anything else in the series. All right? If Pedro is actually dead, which at this point it seems like he's actually dead.
I hate that we have to say if. Yeah,
I know. I hate, but we have to. If that's true, and he's actually dead, and Carrot is not a traitor, Carrot has nowhere else to go outside of the Minx and maybe leaving with the Minx at the end of Wano Country. If she stays with the Straw Hats, she's going to have a role in the crew. There's going to be, and if there's a role in the crew for her, she's the inexperienced one. Cabin girl. She's a lookout. She's a cabin girl. She's whatever. She could just be, she's like that inexperienced person. She's like the Shanks and Buggy of Luffy's crew. It's that kind of thing.
I don't dislike Carrot. I definitely can see Carrot as a as a member of the Straw Hats, I've always liked that idea. But I actually, now that we've met Tama, I'm really rooting for Tama. I think
I like Tama.
She would make a dope cabin girl, I feel, on the crew.
Here's the thing I'm going to say, though, because we kind of moved away from it because we got to talking about this because of Momo. My idea is that if you look back at the very early portions of Wano Country, what did they call Kaito? What did the people refer to Kaito as?
As a god, right?
A deity or something.
As a deity, a guardian god. Exactly. The god of Wano Country, right. If the people of Wano see the dragon as their god, well, there's one other dragon in the traditional sense that's in the series, which is Momo. And Momo is destined to be the next shogun of Wano Country. Now, if that's the case, and Kaido dies, and there's no dragon to be the god of the world, there's a big open slot right there for Momonosuke, where Momonosuke could then be one and the same. Not only is he the shogun of the country, he is also the god of the country. He is truly the one true ruler of Wano Country. And so I think Momo is not going anywhere. I think Momo, more than anybody else, is staying in Wano.
Yeah, I agree.
He has to. He has to.
That is the first argument, and the second argument is that why introduce the fact that Ace met Tama in the story and promised her to take her with them out to sea.
That's
right?
true.
That's definitely setting up something.
Actually.
Yeah.
I did not think about that. Could you see? Okay, I still kind of am on the Momo train. Not even because I like Momo particularly, because he's not super likable. He's grown on me. He's grown on me a little bit.
Sure.
It just feels as though kind of like Momo, as he is right now, would not be ready to step into the shoes of Shogun. I do wonder if
shouldn't
Shouldn't
Wano be also about Momo learning to step into the shoes of his father?
Yes.
Well,
I agree.
also, one thing, if we're assuming a lot of characters are coming in Wano Country, right? A lot of other characters are coming in. Let's just maybe theorize, let's say Bonnie shows up, right? And Momo's technically pretty old already. Momo's technically 28 years old, right? Bonnie could very likely just be like, oh, he was meant to be the Shogun, boom, age him up. He's now 28. We could get
I actually
that
have
jump.
a theory on that. Yeah,
we could
that
see
like
that by the
Bonnie's
end of
gonna
Wano.
come in and do some age manipulation or something.
Yeah.
Because Kuma could literally slap her over there right now, as far as we know.
Especially
she's right
if we
there.
end up seeing after Act 3 or whatever, the jump back to Reverie like we've been getting. Easy. We need to probably see what happened with Bonnie and the Revolutionaries and what exactly went on there. If Kuma's like, Bonnie, I'm sorry, I hate to do this to you, but I gotta do it. Boom, exactly. Slaps her. She goes flying to Wano Country, and she's there along with whoever else ends up joining for Act 4. We could actually get that. That age manipulation stuff could happen, and he mentally, right, has already become ready. He's stepped into his shoes. Momo is what I'm referring to. But when he had that moment with Luffy at the end of where Luffy's like, you got to grow up. You're going to be a man now. You're controlling this country. And Momo's like, all right, fine, I'm going to grow up. And I think if we get Momo fighting, Orochi alongside the Scabbards or something, and he has that snatch moment and finally goes off and takes down somebody, or even gets a hit in against Kaido, the same type of thing. Maybe he's the final hit against Kaido. Who knows? Just that could be one of those types of things where then he takes his rightful place, Bonnie ages him up, and then he's good and he stays there. I think what's more likely is, I agree with you that I think Tama's leaving Wano after all this. I think Tama's going to go with somebody. But I think more likely than her leaving with the Straw Hats, I could see a samurai ship being made for the Straw Hat Grand Fleet, where we have the samurai who've never left Wano Country, who want to fulfill Odin's dream of seeing what's beyond the borders, where they jump on that ship together, bring Tama along, and they go off, and that's the next cover story after Wano Country.
I mean, probably Izo is also gonna have to play a role, especially after the Wano arc is done, right?
For sure. Well, if Izo's with the remainder of the Whitebeard Pirates, who are with Neko right now, and Nekomamushi finally shows up, Izo's probably going to be with them. And then I think a big reason why Izo didn't come back, and maybe this will be explained in the next couple chapters, is I think somehow, some way, Izo thinks that they're all dead. Izo just assumed that all of the samurai are dead, so we get this great reunion where Izo shows up and then sees the grown-up Kiku, and they have that sibling reunion, heartbreaking.
That'd be great.
It's going to be glorious.
That'd be great. Damn.
Yeah, I think at this point, there's so many options. I guess the reason I'm, in the Momo camp, I guess, even though I don't like him, is just because it feels to me like he's already kind of Well, I guess then there's the flip side, the Vivi argument, I guess. But Momo does feel like he is the most integrated into the crew so far, kind of, and is kind of...
You would say that more than Carrot? Because I disagree. I think Momo is on the same tier as, like, Kinemon or Kanjuro. If you're going to say that Momo's integrated in the crew, it feels almost like he is a Kanjuro Kinemon type level, whereas Carrot was with them in an entire story arc where Momo wasn't even present and was, chilling with the rest of them.
So, Roger, my Carrot train kind of went like Carrot. I didn't like it towards the beginning of Whole Cake. Then after the Sulong transformation, I was like, amazing, no, I could definitely see her being part of the crew.
Yeah.
But it was the hard drop-off upon reaching Wano that has made me kind of like, in my mind, Carrot's stock has gone down. I still see that possibility, and I would like be totally happy with it. Oh, she's the lookout or something like that. I could see us getting multiple members from Wano. So, I think Jinbei definitely joins after this arc. I could see a Tama, because Ohara, you've actually switched my mind. I just feel like they will pick up a cabin boy or girl.
In
my mind up till now
agree.
It was Momo, but now you've shifted my mind to be Tama. And I could see a lookout Carrot popping up.
Dude, I mean...
And my weirdest theory that nobody agrees with, which is Smoker.
I mean,
we won't go into that.
Smoker, end of series Smoker. I mean, let's say, for example, if we find out, like I was saying, right, that Elbaf is going to be the giant Devil Fruit lore story arc, and Vegapunk's been researching Devil Fruits, more likely than not, when Vegapunk shows up, Smoker's going to show up, right? So if we get to Elbaf,
I think Smoker
and we find
here. Do you think Smoker in Wano?
No way. I think Smoker, Vegapunk,
they're
that's all
calling for Vegapunk over, and the Marines are possibly making their way over to Wano. I
strongly believe the Marines are staying out of it. I take Akainu to his word. I think they're staying out of it, and I think the next time we see Smoker is going to be with Vegapunk at Elbaf. I don't think there's going to be any Marine involvement ever during this Wano
Fujitora.
fight. I don't think so. Are you even going
to say that to Fujitora, who looks like he was dressed and born and made
I don't think so.
Wano?
I truly do not think so. I think Fujitora and Green Bull have a whole other role to play in the story, and I think, if anything, Fujitora hears what happened in Wano, and then we get a flashback to, Fujitora growing up and then going more towards the side of the Straw Hats and the good guys, right? Finding out that, they're the ones who liberated his country from all the bad stuff that happened. Because we still don't know what it was that made him gouge his eyes out, right?
I definitely think it was Odin related.
I definitely think it's Odin related too, for sure.
In this Odin flashback,
Bro, I'm right there with you. People said I was nuts. I said that a couple streams ago. I said, bro, Fujitora going to show up in this flashback. He's going to see what happened to Odin. And he's going to stab his eyes out. I love this. I love that I'm not alone anymore. I've been saying this on live streams.
Ohara and I have been on this train for a bit.
I am completely right there with you. I haven't done a video on it yet because I specifically thought I was going to get a lot of hate for it. Here, I'm going to do my video now. I'm going to be like, Mr. Morj just agreed with me, so I'm doing this video now. I am right there with you. Fujitora is going to be in the flashback. He's going to gouge his eyes out because 100%. Of Odin. You heard it here first. 100%. Completely agree. I love 100%.
It. All right. Good stuff, dude.
Awesome.
Wait, we got another question?
Yeah, you want
I've literally never heard anybody else say that, and it just makes me feel so validated.
Dude,
I'm so happy.
I mean, but it makes me feel
so actually, like,
kind of, right?
Oh, I love it.
Okay, for a bit, I almost made this theory, and I'm glad I didn't, which was that I thought that Fujitora was going to be Odin's dad. Because we hadn't seen the Shogun for a while. And I was like, if he's from... I was like, where do you pull an admiral from Wano? And I was like, it must have been the former Shogun. It must have been Odin's dad. And I stopped just short of making the theory, and then we got the reveal. I was like, okay, it's clearly not his dad. I can just, pretend I never thought of that or anything like that. But that would have been sick. I still don't know how he's going to pop up in the flashback, but, I strongly believe...
I think it could be like a Gold Roger execution type moment, right? Remember where we saw the characters in their younger forms? I think we see someone that looks an awful lot like Fujitora, and that shit doesn't get explained for story arcs. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, Fujitora was there.
I mean... now that I think about it, okay, so I think Denjiro is way too young to be Fujitora. But then, when you think about his, sunglasses...
Oh, what? Oh, that...
I didn't think about
we're getting some spicy hot theories.
With the
sunglasses,
might be and you're like, why is he wearing sunglasses? Why we never get to see his eyes?
Oh, I like that idea. I like that idea a lot.
I had not even thought of that.
Everyone's been saying, Denjiro is Kyosho or whatever because of the anime, or Denjiro is Scapper Gaban. Bro, if Denjiro... Oh my god. If Denjiro is Fujitora and he gouges his eyes out at the ending...
Dude, because Denjiro's Odin's biggest fanboy. From the start, he was I worship Odin.
That would be the coolest twist. Oh my god. I would love that. I would genuinely love that. Wow. What if the sunglasses are the hint? Yeah. Dude, what if...
Isn't it the blind people wear a little bit sometimes?
Dude, this is sounding so much better by the minute, actually.
The people listening can't see me right now. I am in full Hisoka swing mode right now. I cannot believe That's such a good theory. I love that. I love that. I love the idea that Denjiro is.
I give it to you for free if you want to make a video about it.
Bro. See, I won't though, because I'm gonna get caught in a situation where I'm like, oh, the Vinsmoke brothers, Killer and Bellamy. So I don't want to. I'm not gonna do that probably, but that's really cool. I agree with you though that I think if I'm gonna do a video, I will do one about Fujitora being in the flashback. I just literally didn't because I thought that everyone was gonna say I was nuts.
No.
And that there's too many other moving parts. But I am right there with you. I am right there with you. I completely agree.
Dude, that's actually pretty hilarious because my next video is also gonna be on Fujitora. Just gonna be like a general character analysis, but
I love it.
Roger, question, a little bit different, but like, because you do the chapter reviews and reactions like 4 days after everybody else, basically.
Sure.
3 days. Do you ever like just feel a little out of the loop or question marks about like what everybody else is feeling or thinking, basically, because it's all happening?
Yes, and that is actually something that I like about doing it on Sunday now, because I feel like for a really long time we all sort of regurgitated our videos out on Thursday when the scans came out, and so everybody was watching everybody and they all came to sort of the same conclusions. And so, yeah, it does feel like when I'm reading the chapter on Sunday and everyone's already sort of discussed it, that I do sort of have a fresh take on it because I haven't watched anything or seen anything. I haven't been like in the discussion. Whereas like before, I would be like seconds, I would read the chapter and then immediately like go watch everybody's reactions and then I would record my review. And by that point, I was already getting all these other ideas in my head from watching other people, not like taking the idea, but I was like hearing it. And so I thought, oh, it's a confirmation bias, you know? And so then I would do the review, and then because I did that and everyone else was doing it, it's like the same type of ideas came out again and again and again. But now,
echo chamber, yeah.
Exactly, it's an echo chamber. But now, yeah, it's like I don't watch anything until after I'm already done with like making my review now. Like this is the first One Piece thing I've discussed with this chapter at all with anybody. You guys got me right after the review ended. So it's like, it's one of those things where, yeah, it's like I haven't heard what people's theories are about the chapter. I haven't heard like anything about what they think Toki's up to with the Void Century. So this is all new to me, and I like that. And it's admittedly really difficult to stay unspoiled. Like I found that a lot of the time people will like tweet me spoilers just because they don't like the fact that I wait for the official release. But I'm like, bro, if you tweet me the spoiler, that's just gonna make me not want to read it. Like I'll read it obviously myself because I'm a huge One Piece fan, but I just won't read it on camera then if you want that. So that's why like we put together that thing where it was SM SY SO GSM, which is spoil me, spoil yourself, spoil others, get some help. So it's like that's like a whole big thing that's been going on my streams now. So it's like don't spoil me because you're spoiling yourselves, because then you're not getting my reaction, you're not getting the review, whatever. But honestly, to be completely honest, One Piece is relatively easy to stay unspoiled from on Twitter. I think the hardest part for me is YouTube, because I'll see recommended thumbnails like the days before. So that's been difficult. But Twitter is actually really easy. I've muted like One Piece words where it's just, it won't show up on my timeline. Like it won't. And so I'll just type in the number, type in the word, and it just won't show up. Like, and I think maybe once or twice has something sort of snuck through where somebody tweeted me, I think, like, no, it wasn't even on Twitter. It was on YouTube where somebody was like, oh, Izo's in the next One Piece chapter. And I was playing Pokemon or something. So, like, that's, I think, the last time that it happened. But prior to that, it's been pretty nice, and I've remained unspoiled for a while.
Do you feel that it's like a competitive disadvantage? Is that something you think about?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. But I mean, I don't care. It's one of those things where I don't want to just be known as the One Piece guy anyway. So like, for me, if I'm doing other content, like, sure, my views are going to be lower because people have talked about it already. But ultimately, like, it doesn't matter to me because then I'm working with the companies and I'm getting like brand deals and shit. So it's like, I'm making my money other ways. It doesn't really matter. And then to me, it's actually nice because then it doesn't feel like I'm in that immediate competition of having to upload right away and be the first one and do all that stuff. It's like I can enjoy it at my own pace.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. The hardest thing is definitely
you have the other.
Yeah,
you have like the max advantage of being like first
extreme.
Because he's
I'm in like in the right time zone. Like the chapter drops when I get up at 7.
Yeah.
So
you mean the scan drops?
Yeah, the scan drops. Yeah.
Oh, when the scan drops.
So you mean like really early? Yeah.
Yes.
No. But I'm saying though, but that is a very competitive advantage to be the very, very first one. is definitely helpful. Because, I mean, for me, for a long time, that's sort of how I gained my first amount of subscribers, which was before they had Shonen Jump, where it was like the official release was simulcast. It wasn't that before. You would just have to read the scans. And so I would wake up really early in the morning or stay up really late at night to read the chapter, and made a point to be the first one and would just upload the reaction unfiltered. And a lot of people were like, why haven't you edited your videos, whatever? But at that point, it didn't matter because I was the first. And so you were getting eyes on it, and people just, enjoyed it and stayed watching.
I don't know about you guys, but to me that became kind of like because like obviously I still enjoy reading the chapter. The reason I stopped doing chapter reviews was because that turned it into a bit of a chore.
Yes,
like I'll obviously love
agree.
One Piece, but if I gotta stay up like to a certain like 4 a.m. when I normally wouldn't to like be one of the first to get the chapter out, and then it turns into a job and like I gotta find something interesting to say. And I talked to you a little bit about this.
Like
I was gonna say, Morj and I had this discussion on Twitter and DMs because for about a month I was just like, man, I am so burnt out on YouTube. I'm like burnt out doing all these anime videos. I'm burnt out doing like, just to me, I like One Piece, I like Attack on Titan, I like Hunter x Hunter. But like I've said this on other streams, I'm not as big of an anime fan as I think people think that I am. I think people think I just like consume anime, and I don't. I just happen to really like the stuff that I really like. And I'm really, in my free time, I definitely play more games than I watch stuff, like for sure, or read things for sure.
Yeah, I see that Alienware chair.
Yeah. Oh, I got of course, one of my sponsors. #free game, #free product. Anyway, but I think plug. Going back to what you said about it becoming a chore, it really did feel like a chore to me, especially because the chapters, like, there was already not as much interest in the community because there was like sort of a lull at the end of Act 2. So already people weren't really watching. And then again, like all across the board. But then again, I was doing it 4 days later. So it did feel like a chore to me to like then upload the reaction and upload the review and have to like find 10 minutes of stuff to talk about, when in reality it was like, I didn't need to do that. I could have easily just done a reaction and then been like, all right, that's it for the week, or done a review. But I think the hard thing was that I was really, and I asked my audience about this even too recently when I was like taking my break. I said, what is it that you actually watch me for? And so many people were like, oh, your videos. You've been relying too much on these long One Piece streams to discuss the chapters, and you're not really doing other videos. And at first I felt like very defensive about that. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm cranking out more One Piece content than ever. But then I realized like, oh no, they're actually completely right. Because I'm doing these like one time a week, hour and a half long live streams where I would just do a live reaction and review of the chapter, but it was already out for 4 days, and people aren't going to sit through an hour and a half to figure out the few nuggets of things that I say that are different than what everybody else said. And I found that, you just upload the reaction. If it's a good one, you upload the full one. And then if you do the review, like the review has become my standard thing now. And I'm even doing it in a different way where it's not labeled the same way, where you're sort of like rambling off the cuff. And people have really seemed to enjoy that format more than what I was doing before, which is what Morj was talking about, where it was becoming a chore. And it was like, hey, what's going on, everybody? Roger Space here with my review of chapter whatever. And here's blah, blah. And I'm regurgitating the same points that I'm sure most other people have talked about. I think the way that I'm doing it now is a lot healthier, and I'm definitely a lot happier.
And I think that is like a very... but it's definitely a very dangerous spot to be in. Like,
yes.
Once you stop, like, once the fun creeps out of it, and you're like, oh, I actually have to force myself to react positively to something that I actually don't want to do right now. Like, that will also translate, and I think people will feel...
Well, I think that is actually, I had the reverse problem. Oh. That was a huge problem for me. I had the reverse problem, is I could have faked loving Whole Cake Island, and I didn't. Yeah. I went out of my way to be like, I fucking hate this. This is the only time I'm swearing on this. You get one, Roger. But like, I hated it. Like, it wasn't even that I didn't, like, I wasn't enjoying certain aspects. I really hated the direction the story was going in and how things were dragging out. And people had their own opinions about it. And I was mentioning in the reviews, because I wanted to keep it positive, I was talking about stuff that I liked, but I just was glossing over the stuff that I hated. So that when I finally was like going at the end of the arc and talking about the stuff that I didn't like, people were like, well, you said you loved the story arc. I'm like, no. If you go back and watch those videos, I did not love the story arc. I was specifically talking about the stuff that I liked. And I think what happened was, because I was doing that and skimming over my problems because I knew people weren't going to like it and I didn't want to sort of cause controversy, that created this thing just like you were talking about, where then people were like, well, he just pretended to like it. And it's like, no, you go back and watch those videos. I wasn't pretending to like anything. I very openly was like, I hate Flampe. I hate this katakuri shit. I don't like what's going on here with the dragging out of the whole cake chateau stuff. I don't like the seducing woods. I don't like half these characters. But because I was, instead of talking about that, like making up theory videos and doing things, people just assumed assumed I enjoyed it when in reality I was miserable. Like, that was the peak of me really hating doing One Piece content. I hated it. Like, having to crank out a review every single week and a reaction and a theory video and like taking up my sub box and absolutely not enjoying what was going on in the story was the worst. And then when I finally opened up about it in the beginning of Wano Country, like where Big Mom had her amnesia moment in the prison, and I just full out like had a temper tantrum, and I was like, bro, I hate this. Like, if you're the type of person who likes this, great for you, but like, this is trash. And I'm sorry, but I don't like this. This isn't Oda at his best. And people then really lashed out and really got mad at me because they were like, well, you just hate One Piece now because it's not doing as well for you. It's like, no, I really don't like it. Like, I don't know what to tell you, bro. I don't like this right now. And so I am glad I took a break, and I really am happy with how Wano's moving along now, because now it's just like, that's cool. We've talked about it this entire...
I mean, the flashback in general feels
so, like... I mean, I can say this as...
Sorry. Oh, yeah, I just want to say that, like, the flashback in general, it feels like early day One Piece, easygoing adventure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, Morj.
Oh, no. Like, I 100% agree with... I'm just saying that, like, I used to watch... Like, I can kind of understand from your fans' perspective, because it's kind of like, what do you feed them up till then?
Right.
Like, because I used to watch your react... Not to say I dropped off because, I suddenly hated Roger's base. No. I just stopped watching other people's One Piece.
I'm the same way, dude. I don't watch people's reactions anymore. Yeah. I know.
Yeah, like, I just don't do that. Unless it's a really hype chapter, and then, like, now I know you guys a little more. Then I'm like, what did Ohara say? What did Brago say? Et cetera, et cetera. But, yeah, I don't watch people's day-to-day at this point.
Yeah, no.
But back when I was watching a lot, I used to like your reactions the most because, and that's genuine, because you were the most animated, the most positive out of people. So I'm like, okay, this is, like... getting to see the fun of the chapter again.
Right.
So I can totally get why people might drop off of you
me
if
too.
it's something like, well, I'm not getting, like, what am I watching this for, basically? Yeah. It's like, he's not happy, this isn't Roger, but, like, that's better than, like, being something you're not. You know?
Exactly.
The other reason, the other competitive advantage I'd say you had, at least for me, was, back before Shonen Jump, back before Viz started putting out the official translations for free, I would actually go back to watch your videos to just learn what the official translation said. So sure. Like, all right, I don't need a subscription to Viz. I just watch Roger Base's videos.
And to be honest, I get a lot of people who still say that in the reactions of the reviews, and that's a big reason why people still watch, because they're like, oh wow, okay, like, and it's free, they could read it, but a lot of people don't. They're just like, oh, he read the translation and he said this, and then people get mad at me for reading that translation, and then we get something like the Frankie moment where Frankie, said 100,000 and not 10,000, and people were like, well, he's exaggerating, blah, blah. And it's like, well, that's what the official translation said, and it wasn't a mistake. Yeah. Like, people were trying to say that the number was translated wrong, and I'm like, bro, you don't even speak Japanese. How do you know this? And Steven had to go out of his way on Twitter to be like, no, it was definitely 100,000. It was meant to be an exaggeration. Like, that's the point. So that when eventually all these other people come in at the end of Wano, it might not actually physically be 100,000 people, but it's going to be more than they expected, and they're going to have the reserve ships. So,
right.
Yeah.
All right, we should do you think one more question is good?
Let's do one more fast question. But like,
let's do it.
Like, go for it.
All right. Ohara, you got it?
No, you can choose, because I have closed Twitter again.
Okay. All right, I'll pick... I hate picking the questions, actually, because I don't know what a juicy question actually is.
You're doing good.
It's all good. You're doing great.
It's all good. I mean, some of these suck.
It's your podcast, Morj, so...
Oh, true. This is my podcast. Okay, how about this? Do you think...
No, say it. You said half of it now. You gotta say it. Do you think...
Alright, fine, I'll say the full thing. Do you think Hiyori has the time fruit and she's gotten
it? No, we're done. Next one. Alright, go to the next one.
Oh, shit. That's not a juicy one, then. Alright.
No.
Do you think Toki can see far... These are Toki related. We've talked a lot about her.
We have.
Do you think... Okay, this is a more general one. Getting away from Wano. Do you think Luffy and the Straw Hats have undergone any changes in personality post-time skip?
Yes.
Watch my videos.
No, I know Ohara. Yeah, you do. I guess we could go into that a little bit. I just picked that because it was a little different. How about this one? I'm just going to go with the first one we see. Do you think Odin has the will of D?
Right. Oh. I'm going to leave that to you, Roger.
Kozuki O-D-N? Oh, no.
I love how you can force the D into so many people's names. Kaito.
You know what? Sure. Sure. Let's just say yeah.
All right,
if
awesome.
Anyone
what
had
a juicy question.
Yeah, then Odin would definitely.
Of the people in Wano country, I feel like Oden would be. But then would that mean his father had it too? Like Sukiyaki was also a D. And
I mean, they're going back to the Void
does that
Century,
mean
right?
Momo and Hiyori are also Ds? Like that would open up a whole can of worms.
Yeah. Okay, fine. Last question. Last question. How about this? Witching Hour Boy. What do you guys think about the Witching Hour Boy? Anybody still remember that this character even exists? I keep forgetting about it.
I thought that's Kyoshiro.
I don't think that's been settled.
Hiyori.
I think it's still up in the air, right? Yeah, I still think it's Hiyori personally, but as far as I know, they haven't solved the mystery of the
been
Witching
revealed
Hour
yet. I think it was mentioned, then it dropped off forever, and then it was just mentioned in some chapter, like at the end or middle or end to Act 2. I think it was mentioned that the Witching Hour Boy had again robbed, like stolen money, something like that. But I think it was never revealed.
That's why I thought it was Kyoshiro. Or at least to me. Obviously, it hasn't been confirmed yet, because you guys would know. But to me, like, the whole thing with money is what led me back to Kyoshiro to begin with, because he's, what was his name? He's like the money launderer, isn't he? He's like Orochi's money. Like so, I mean, like, that, like, obviously that would be who that is. And we know that there's some type of relationship between Hiyori and Kyoshiro. So even if you guys think it's Hiyori, it's like, they're kind of one and the same. Yeah. We know that there was something that happened there when he killed. I'm doing finger quotes. People who are listening can't see me, but when he killed Hiyori, I think like they had another plan in mind, and I think we'll eventually find that out. But I feel like Kyoshiro was. I assume Kyoshiro was like a Robin Hood type character.
I mean, I think,
and has been
like Morj and me have talked about this. I think countless times. Like, my personal opinion or my personal wish for Kyoshiro would be that he's the kind of, like, neutral, gray character that, like, is sometimes supporting Orochi and Kaito, sometimes supporting the Straw Hats, and in the end, like, doing, like, his own thing, maybe being, like, the secret villain at the end of the arc. That would be dope. Something in that direction.
That would be cool. I would like it. I would like it.
Left field sort of thing. Actually, one thing you just mentioned, Kyoshiro, is, like, the money lender. I know Denjiro stuff has been done to death or whatever, but, like, I remember in the Oden flashback, Denjiro was the one who was, like, most on Oden's case for, the capital's money. I think he was in charge of that for Oden or something. If you go, like, maybe one chapter back or something along those lines, like 963. I guess that adds a little bit to the possibility that plus the hairline thing, that he is Kyoshiro.
Dude, I think the hair...
Yeah, to me... The Kyoshiro thing really makes sense. Like, I know a lot of people... I love the Denjiro theory still. I think the Denjiro Fujitora thing would be absolutely insane, mind-blown type reveal if that was actually the case. But I also kind of feel like, Kyoshiro and Denjiro and the Witching Hour Boy are all the same thing. I think it's all... Because the thing is, if the Witching Hour Boy's still doing stuff in the current day, but we don't know where Denjiro is, like, that would also kind of make sense. If he was also Kyoshiro and doing all that behind the scenes and living this double life. And then I feel like there's going to be a moment, if he isn't Fujitora, right, where he takes off the sunglasses and then you see he's got Kyoshiro's eyes. Because Kyoshiro has very distinct eyes compared to a lot of the other characters. And I think that'll be one of those things where maybe when Oden dies, you see him take off the sunglasses and he cries and you're like, oh god, that's Kyoshiro. And then, it goes into the actual rest of the present day.
That's true. No, that would be pretty cool.
Then again, we're sitting making theories about people with sunglasses, and look how well that worked out for us for Doflamingo, so who knows?
Oh, yeah. Never takes
sunglasses under his sunglasses,
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I think this was a pretty good spot to end the podcast. Maybe not the best spot, but I think good enough.
Good enough.
2 hours.
Good enough.
And, we're one pieced out.
It was a pleasure having you, Roger.
Yeah. Great having you on, Roger.
Always a pleasure talking to you guys. This is great.
Yeah. Always welcome back.
Definitely we'll do this again at some point.
Whenever there's another good chapter like this, let me on.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah. For sure. I mean, hopefully that's like just the rest of this flashback.
I feel like it's going to be. I stand by what I said. I think this is going to be the best flashback in One Piece.
I agree.
Yeah, it's going to be one there. Until maybe like the ending, but that's about it.
So, basically, follow Roger's Base at...
Roger's Base, ROGERSBSE, on YouTube, on Twitter, on Twitch, and on Instagram.
Yes, links in the description below, obviously. Otherwise,
go subscribe to his channel.
Follow us on
Twitter.
Subscribe
to Ohara's channel. Which are on.
No, go subscribe to Mr. Morj's channel, because this video is on my channel.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. And
subscribe to the channel that we're currently on as well. You can't subscribe to Revujo, but...
Yeah.
Can you? Does he have a channel?
Does Revujo have a YouTube channel?
I think he does, but like definitely check him out on Instagram and on Twitter. 100%.
Yes, those are the important ones. I don't know if you
Thanks again, dude, for
putting
out the thumbnails. And otherwise, I think that's it. Really hope you.
Talk to y'all next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.